Worship leader, how do you get the old and the young in your church passionately worshiping together in unity? And then how do you get those old school musicians to play well with your more contemporary musicians so that everyone sounds good together? Today, we are talking all about multi-generational worship ministries and how to do them well. And I'm joined by my special guests, Josh and Chris from The Heritage. They're also worship pastors at their church. They have built an incredible multi-generational worship ministry at their church with a rocking contemporary band alongside of a passionate, excellent all-age choir. And everyone on their team seems to be authentically worshiping and engaging with the Lord with passion. And so I'm excited to welcome our guests to the screen.
What's up, everybody?
Thanks there they are. These two handsome young guys. They're about to be famous guys. Watch out. So I'm just kidding. I heard you guys on the radio 3 days ago, and I was like, I know them. How's that feel to like have your songs on the radio for the first time?
It makes no sense. I'm like, we recorded that at our church in South Carolina, and to think it's on Air One, which I've heard everybody else on that I look up to. I can't even believe it. Can you?
Well, it's like, you know, when you're singing these songs at your church for years and years, and then you hear your song, I'm like, whoa, this is so crazy, surreal.
Yeah. And we were joking that like Brandon Lake's songs, of course, were on right before and right after. And he even snuck a vocal track into yours that you didn't know about. So he's literally on every song. So anyway, so both of you came up under your parents as the worship pastor, worship leader. Can I ask like a tactical question where obviously your father or your mother, in your case, Josh, had earned trust with all the people involved in the ministry. But now you're coming up this young buck, this young squirt, whatever they wanted to call you, and they potentially are looking down on you because you're young, even though the Bible tells Christians we shouldn't. How did you guys earn the trust of the older generation and bridge that gap? Because I think younger worship leaders, we can struggle with that sometimes.
Our church was very gracious with me, but I could remember feeling just like the eyes are on you feeling for a long time. I think it might have been 4 years. And then I felt like, I don't feel that anymore. It could have been a religious spirit in the room even, and those people aren't there anymore. I don't know. But I do remember specifically feeling a weight come off after a few years. And I don't know if it just, people just let you go and do your thing that you've been called to do at some point. But I've had a good experience, and yeah, I'll think more on it. But what's your experience?
I found that, like you said, I was at a church that it was really tough. We had a traditional service and we had a contemporary service all at the same time. And I had never experienced anything like that. I felt like it was this war, silent war. I think their intentions were good and their heart was good. And I felt like our intentions, our heart was good. But there was a little clash towards the middle that we just did not understand. There was a lot of judgment with just even looks. And obviously people were probably saying some terrible stuff about our music. And we had this heart to heart. It was a tough meeting. And we kind of talked it out. And I learned something from there that it's all about building relationships. It's all about loving each other and realizing it's not about us. It's not about the music. Really, it really is not. It's about pointing people that are coming into your church to the love of Jesus Christ and wanting them to have a relationship with Jesus. And I found that as I matured, we had to, on both sides, let our pride down. Our pride was just in the way because looking back, I thought I was right, if I'm honest. I thought our music's better. You guys are judging us, da, da, da. And I'm sure they probably thought that, but I feel like we came to a point where we had to put our pride down. We had to realize it's not about either one of us and that we're all on the same team. And so I think once I learned how to put my pride down and not really think that I'm right and really come together with all ideas from all generations, because stuff does work for them. Stuff didn't work for us, but stuff that works for us can help them grow. You know what I'm saying? So we had to work as a team. And that's what I found was just putting our pride aside, letting Jesus be the center and the focus. And I feel like it's worked out since then. So.
Wow. And so you actually had a meeting and you pulled all the parties into a room and said, let's talk through this. That's brave, but that's what Christ commands us to do.
For sure.
And now you jumped over the hurdle and now you're sprinting towards a healthier situation. That's rad. I love that you point out that they think they're right and we think we're right.
Yeah.
And really, it's just a preference thing. I got an email the other day from a lady who's like, it sure would be great if we did more hymns. And I had just done like 2 that morning. And
Right.
she's like, but she's like, more hymns, you know? And so I actually told her, I was like, you know what? Your email prompted me to look at my upcoming sets and I was able to slot in some more hymns. And I'm not going to like capitulate and always do what they say.
Right.
But it's like, if I can make it work and serve them, what's the problem? You know, it's not going to hinder worship. It's just going to unify worship. So
Absolutely.
Yeah, no, I
that's
did
rad.
that one too. And it happens when you've just done 6 hymns that month.
Yeah.
Someone asks that, right?
Yeah.
That's the only time you're going to hear it is when you're already.
Yeah, it's like you give them a hit of sugar and then they're like, more sugar, you know? So
Yeah.
That's
I
good.
want more. Yeah.
Yeah. Josh, your choir is so excellent and joyful, and their stage presence is so like vivid, I guess is the word I would choose. What does your like training and resourcing and choir rehearsals look like to really get them to be not just like stoic statues or like in their choir books or whatever? So yeah, talk to me about your choir program. And then I'm guessing you either oversee that or help someone else oversee it. If you're feeling stuck, mediocre, or inadequate in your ministry, if you know there must be a better way of doing things but you're not sure how, if you're looking for fresh inspiration and new ideas that will improve your ministry and give you a team that you're proud of leading, then I invite you to join me and over 1,400 worship leaders from all over the world who are growing inside the Worship Ministry Training Academy. Our C3 format is proven to get you results because you get courses, coaching, and community. The courses teach you what to do, the coaches help you apply it to your specific situation, and the community helps you stay accountable and encouraged as you take the right steps to improve the ministry God has called you to. Get access to over a dozen practical courses, 20 time-saving templates, done-for-you team discipleship material, and live expert interviews with guests like Matt Redman, Christian Stanfill, Charity Gale, and others. The best part is it's completely free to try for 15 days, yes, free. And if you decide to sign up, the Academy is by far the most affordable online worship school that there is out there. Join thousands of other worship leaders like Alicia and Jaime, who both say the Academy has completely transformed their ministry. I hope you'll start your free trial today, take the guesswork out of building a thriving worship ministry, and get a proven game plan to success. Go to worshipministrytraining.com and click that big red button, and I hope to see you inside the Academy this week.
Yeah, my mom, like I mentioned before, was the worship pastor like my whole life growing up, but now she is over the choir. The way she runs it is like, if you can carry a tune, if you want to worship the Lord and you want to plug in and you love to sing, come on, join the choir. And then we're going to meet Sunday night. We're going to go over the parts and we'll have like section leaders that are like running their part with a microphone, right? We all are going to learn these parts together and basically just make a choir made up of the church. It's really, to me, a cool approach. It feels so much bigger and so much more exciting, even just having a choir up there. Through the summer, we haven't been doing the choir, but we're going to start back in the fall and winter. And I'm excited for that because I find the whole worship time is just a lot better to me. Because it's like the church is up there leading the church. It's just so exciting. Yeah. So I like that way of doing it. It's not like a hard audition process or something.
So you just kind of let anyone who wants to sing, but then you have some section leaders who are guiding people based on their vocal range. How do you guys assign the parts? And how does your mom instruct them on here it's unison, here it's like, is it mapped out? And then do you guys have recordings of parts for the people to learn before they come? How often are you rehearsing? Sorry, I like to get really like...
Yeah, we'll rehearse on Sunday nights. She'll often just send them like the file. But then in the practice, though, I'm at piano and we'll like sing out the parts together. I think for individuals, maybe they come from a choir and so they'll say I'm alto or something like that. But we typically will kind of like navigate that as we're going, like, oh, let's take this down a whole step for the guys because this song is like crazy. Or the sopranos they're in the sky right now. So I think she'll like kind of pinpoint where people go based on conversation and hearing them sing and different things. Maybe even as practice is going on, I think she might move people around if need be. But she's got her own, like that's her thing. And I let her run because she's always done it. You know, she's had a choir her whole music ministry. So I'm like, what do you need? Tracks, keyboard, what do you need? And so I'll do piano with her and do really stripped back. Let's pinpoint the notes. that's how our rehearsals have been going.
Chris, do you have any extra insight on choir if you have one at your church or not? No?
We have a very small choir. This is brand new for us. It's like a year old, maybe a year and a half. It's run about the same as like, hey, if you can carry a tune, you want to worship with us. If you have a heart of worship, for me, on my leadership, being able to raise your hands and clap, and that's tough for some people that are brand new. So I make sure like, hey, I'm not the only one leading up here. You guys behind me are leading just as much as me with your worship. So that's the aspect I come from, is like if you can carry a tune, but more importantly, you have a heart of worship, come on up here.
Yeah, I love having a choir too. It's something new for me at my new church. I've been at my church for a year and a half now, and like we launched a choir at my last church, but this one has had it for 40 years. And so coming in and trying to get them to sing the contemporary songs, one time they were like, oh, it sounds like we're just like the boo-wop people in the background because we just sing on the chorus or whatever. I'm like, no, you're helping create a beautiful sound. But one thing I love about it is it's a great place to put people when they come to me and they're like, I want to sing. And I'm like, okay, do you have any experience? No? Okay, great. Let's get in the choir. So, and then from the choir, you can source the better singers onto your worship team. It's kind of like a stepping stone ministry. So I think any worship leader who doesn't have one might want to consider adding one. It does add a little bit of extra work, but yeah. So
you mentioned stage presence, and I was going to say, we're not the standard of what stage presence is when we're leading worship. So I think that's really kind of you to say. We're all just trying to figure it out, because you want to be authentically worshiping. You don't want to frown up there, right? You want to smile. There are things like that we're all just trying to navigate. So I think that's really nice that you said that, but we are not the standard, and we're all trying to figure that out.
I think it's about those constant reminders every single week. Like, hey guys, make sure you're smiling. And this is why, explaining why. Yeah, we do the same thing with our teams as well. I'd love to talk about just like involving those like old school musicians with the newer musicians, because you guys have a very modern sound. And yet I see like older faces on stage. And sometimes those older faces can be stuck in their musical patterns and musical ways. So how have you guys, either of you, helped those people to play along with like the more contemporary songs? Any advice for our worship leaders? Because that's a struggle.
I feel like it's been a long time now, and so I'll look back on the transition time sometimes. Here's how the ministry was when I got here. It was, we got the songs from mom. They would practice on Thursdays. They'd have chord charts. There was no track or click. They would run the material, and whether you change keys or anything like that, then mom would get the fresh chart or whatever they needed. So very similar things to what we're doing, but there was no track or click in place. So the arrangements were a lot more flexible. So you would have kind of how the song goes, but we're going to hit verse 1 again. I actually think that method is still a blast if you have good enough hand signals. That's great. But that doesn't work for me, because I want everyone to feel really at ease when this thing starts, when we kick a song off. But yeah, it was more like, okay, let's do chorus again. We're just going to throw up a C or something. That was working and that was fine, but I was trying to go in another direction where we had a little bit more structure with timing. To me, that would be my biggest change I wanted to make, is let's get on a metronome. I don't care what the arrangements are, or if we're running around and we're doing 6 choruses, that's all cool. Or we're shortening it, that's fine. But let's do a metronome. And that was a tough time. I remember it was just tough for people to understand the value that it had. It's not necessary. I don't want to say that. But the value that it adds to your day and your morning, if everyone's practicing at home to that album, that's the tempo they're practicing. I mean, the value it adds, I can't even. If you're in a different mood, you had 8 cups of espresso that morning, you're not going to play faster. And if you do, you'll pull back because you've got something to kind of like a grid, like a place to pull from. And so as a drummer, that was my first thing I wanted to accomplish. And I remember some of the older guys that have not heard about that. It was just so interesting to them. Like their perspective was just so different. Everybody was nice about it. Like, let's try it. Everybody was so good to me. Again, I had a good experience. No one was like, man, I quit, bro. Yeah, no one did that to me. But like, they're like, yeah, that thing, I hate the click, but let's try it, And, after a year, I bet we went and tried it for 6 months to a year before we ever did it in a service. I feel
Mhm.
like we did. It felt like it. If it wasn't 6 months, it sure felt like 6 months. But it felt like we were consistent in trying the new thing and not giving up on it and stopping it in service. If it just goes off the rails, just stopping it. That's fine. You don't have to have it every song, but then you start off the next one and try that. I think just consistently trying your new idea with the different generation. And I would say you could probably do the opposite if you're an older worship leader and you want to teach someone how the hymns are actually played, which there's a right way to do it, and you know that. You can also teach that and be persistent with them and like, no, this is how you do it. You rest right here and you let the song breathe, and like all of those things we can apply depending on our perspective, but persistently and consistently trying stuff and like having patience. You got to have so much patience in ministry, and you know that.
Yeah. In rehearsal then is when you were trying out the click, and I love that you pitched it as a let's try it out. That's one of my favorite phrases. Hey, we're going to try this for 3 months. If we don't like it, we can always go back. By the end of the 3 months, they've all adjusted and they're cool with it. So secret hack. That's great because I think click is a struggle that people try to implement and they're not sure how. So I love that. Josh, you have a lot of people on your team that are different generations.
Yes.
And I know you're playing with tracks. So they're probably just learning the parts as the album as they should, right?
Yeah.
But I also noticed like your mix sounds really good. But I also know there's probably people on stage, you have them up there, they're good team members, but you duck them a little bit in the mix because either they're overplaying or you just don't need that many electric guitars or whatever. Do you want to talk about getting people on stage who maybe you don't utilize their full sound? If you do that, I don't know if you do that, and hopefully your team doesn't watch this, but any thoughts?
No, hey team, if you're watching, hey, I love y'all. You are the best. No, I actually, if you're listening to our live stream, every input on that stage you're hearing on that, these guys practice a lot and do an amazing job harmonizing and playing their guitars. And they really do such a great job. So when you say the stream mix sounds good, I know that I've put systems in place and have a template in Pro Tools that does sound good. And I'm using Luke Hendrickson, shout out Luke Hendrickson's broadcast template. I'm using systems that are good, but the sources are good. And these people do practice. There's not any ducking of somebody's instrument. I know that that's a good practice, especially if you're bringing in like a young student player or like someone that is overplaying, like you said, a little noodly. I think that's totally fine to duck them and like mix them in. But as you hear that mix, the bass is on, drums are on, left, right guitar, 2 guitars, a keyboard, some background tracks, and like 5 vocals. And those vocalists are blended under the leads. It is a testament to how great those human beings are, though, at what they do. But the source is very important, and I think that should be said. But the Luke Henderson template, I'll set it up, I'll record practice, I'll dial in some stuff and just check it out before service. And we'll go live with that most recent mix. And then I'll have someone adjust the lead volumes. We'll have 2 leaders on a Sunday morning, usually 2 or 3, and they'll just adjust which leader is favored in the mix. And that's it. The band is a static mix, and that is a testament to how dynamic they play. And basically, these are skilled people, and I want to express that.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
Do you think the skill came from your mother and you working with them long term, or were they always just super gifted? Because I think you're right. Like a great mix really comes first from the band. If they play excellently, if they sing with dynamics, if they are blending vocally, you don't have to do much mixing and processing to make them sound good. Obviously, there are things that can help them sound better, but like a great band is the foundation. How did you get your team to be to that place of excellence? Any thoughts?
Yeah, I can't take all the credit, but I think it's the not giving up, because we're talking about 26, we're talking 9 years. And you're here in year number 9. And I think year number 9 is not going to sound like year 1 or 3. And so the consistent, never changing your systems. My systems are the same. The technology's changed, like we've updated some things, but like the systems of how we lead worship are the same. We'll have a metronome, a backing track, arrangements with parts, and we're going to play those parts. And if you've got something creative, show me in practice and we'll do it. If you got something you want to add. But there's good communication, I think is important. We talk to each other like, hey man, like I always say great job if someone does great. They think I'm probably, disingenuous at this point. But I'm like, if it sounds good to me, and we get done with practice and I'm like, y'all sounded amazing in my ears, I'm going to tell them. Mm-hmm. And I think that has to help too, because then people are seeing, okay, this is the thing that clearly works. There's 9 years of that. This thing's working. This thing's working. All right, we're laughing after we got down from that because something went wrong. So we know what stuff is going wrong because we're having fun and communicating and cutting up when stuff goes wrong. Because there's no sense in being like, guys, that really sucked, and just being mad. Like, let's just joke a little bit and be like, that was rough, guys, right? And like, let's get back at like next service. Let's try to tighten up those screws. Like that's at most what I'll do. But we communicate. And maybe that's how we've gotten there. I can't exactly tell you there's a formula or anything, but I think these guys have worked hard for 9 years, and it's a lot of the same guys that I've been working with. There's been some new guys come in that are also phenomenal, but I think they came from teams that were also strong and doing a lot of similar systems. So I do think systems are important, and just don't give up on them. Don't give up on the people or the idea. There's going to be hard weeks. There'll be hard Sundays, but it's worth it. I think it is worth it.
Yeah. I love the hack that you record your rehearsal, multi-track, record it, and then go back and mix it yourself how you want it to be. And then you just put someone at the board and be like, only change these 2 faders. Like that's solid.
Luckily, I've got people that actually trust me enough because they're like friends. I'm like, dude, if you'll just do this job is so easy. If I had a full tech, I would let him run for it. And hey, you do your thing. It's all you because you know this life. You know how this works. But because I don't, it's been helpful to not have people that are just tweaking in there, like just twisting knobs and stuff for fun, because those people exist. And I bet everyone's had someone in their sound booth that are just twisting knobs, and that's a scary day.
Yes, for sure. I know we weren't planning on talking about songwriting, but you guys are writing a lot of songs. Your album is out, and we're going to talk about that in just a second. But our community is very much interested in worship songwriting. So I'd love to hear from both of you. Maybe we'll start with Chris. What does the heritage songwriting process look like? Is it a group of people? Are you getting together weekly? Who's bringing the ideas? I'm sure there's obviously a lot of collaboration. Chris, you want to share about the heritage songwriting process? Because you started a couple years ago, I'm assuming.
Yeah, we did. I mean, Josh can jump in with me whenever, but we both attended an experience conference in Orlando, Florida, and along with Josh's wife, Jess. What's crazy was we just wanted to go and learn about worship leading, really.
Yeah, for just our everyday, like this, right? This conversation. And this was, how can we lead people,
what,
right?
2.5, 3 years ago? 3 years ago, probably.
22, I think.
Yeah, so we went really just trying to get fed, trying to learn what God's called us to do. But when we got there, we had written a few songs over the past few years with this brilliant writer, Jacob Randall, who he's ridiculous. He's written most of the stuff on our album.
Yeah, he's amazing.
He's incredible. But we had written a few things, but when we went to this conference, we took some classes about songwriting. We all felt like that was what God has called us to do. So it's just some practical tips that we took away from some of the classes. And Josh has said this before, but it was writing has to be scheduled. Writing can't really be spontaneous, because I've learned, I think I'm going to write a song today. You don't come in with anything, though. So you really don't ever end up writing anything. So they put it on their calendar, and they both work together at the same church because Jacob's the youth pastor. And so I would obviously step in and help, but it was on the calendar scheduled to write every week. For how long did
we did it? We come back from an experience conference, and when we heard the put it on your calendar, like if it's important to you and you feel like you're a songwriter, then you need to songwrite, and you need to put it like 10 a.m. once a month or whatever it is. We got permission to do, hey, Monday, 10 a.m., like every Monday at 10 a.m., can we get together and write? And we got permission because we were together. And that fall, we wrote everything that you're hearing on the album that fall to that winter. And that was 2022. but we just showed up every week and we felt like God met with us. We would come in with like a small idea or something because we knew we were doing that, right?
Mhm.
When you know you're doing that, then
Yeah.
those moments of inspiration in your car or whatever, you're like, oh, I need to put that in my phone and do a voice memo and bring that in. Sometimes you don't come in with anything, right? This is creative stuff here.
Yeah.
Like sometimes you're like, I got nothing. But every week we felt like when we would chase after a song idea for our local church. And at that point, we were thinking our local church.
Mhm.
We would meet and we would come in with that idea of the blood or the cross or gratitude, whatever kind of subject matter we're coming in with. We're going to go after that idea together. And each week we felt like we came out with a song that we felt like we were really happy with and that also God had put his hand on. And we felt like that is something from my heart. And that's a finished song from our hearts. And that resonates with us. So it was really just getting together with us as two staff members, bringing in Chris and then some other friends and my wife. She's always written with us too. But that's when we started doing it. Like I was like, Chris, can you get off this Monday? Like when we did Fresh Hallelujah. It's like, could you get off? I'm so glad we did that together.
Yeah.
Had we not been obedient and just put it on the calendar, I just feel like we wouldn't have any of these songs that we're
And what I've learned, like
doing.
Putting it on the calendar, I've learned that you take the rest of the week to prepare by seeking God. Hey, God, what do you want me to write this week? Because I know I have this on schedule. I need to come in with something, and not from. Obviously, there are things that we go through and that you can write about, but like, God, what are you trying to, like Josh said, for the local church, what can we come in with? What have you laid on my heart? What have I read in scripture this week? It really pushes you to pursue the Lord even more, to me, to be able to prepare instead of just going in rogue, like with an idea. You can come in with an idea, obviously, but like when you pursue God, I feel like that's when God's like, all right, I'm going to lay this on your heart. You can come in with this idea and then right from there. Like that's what I felt. That really helps with the scheduling of songwriting.
I really felt like that fall was very particularly special.
Yeah.
And I felt like God met with us each week with not every song works, but all of the songs that we put together and felt like we needed to record and put out, those came from back to back to back weeks. And I felt like that was just a special time. Looking back, that had to be the hand of God because songs don't hit every time, like it had to be God showing up with us and just being in those rooms with us that fall. Like, I just think it was special and different.
Yeah, and I'd love to encourage our Academy members and also anyone who will watch this after the fact, just write for your church. Josh and Chris were not writing to be famous. They were like, this song feels good to us, and we think our church will sing it. And Dorcas has a question here. How many people were at the songwriting gathering on Mondays? Dorcas, we're going to do our Q&A in just a second, so I'll make that our first question. And then if anyone else has questions, type it in the chat, and we'll answer that in our Academy Q&A in just a minute. Real quickly, I don't want to take too much time on this, but the fun story. So you're writing songs for your church. Someone from your church has the album. Tell a quick story about why are you on the radio and why are you going on tour with Chris Tomlin? Like, you want to just quickly tell that story and maybe a lesson from that story that you learned?
So we write in fall of 22 for our local church. Our buddy Jacob, we mentioned earlier, he said one time that he thinks that worship songs are like mini sermons that we preach over our own life when we're singing them or listening in our car. These are like mini sermons that are being preached over us. That's a good perspective. We were writing these songs with that perspective. What kind of mini sermons, right, do we want to give our people that they can have in their car or in their prayer time? And so that was our perspective. We did that for about till spring. And then that spring, we got with somebody who knew how to put together a worship album, basically project manage it for us. The church was gracious and approved that we could have him project manage this, get our budget tight, stuff like that. Cameron Gulo, he helped project manage this thing that's going to happen the fall of 2023. It gets to the night in September, and I couldn't believe it. The place is packed. There's people I've never seen in my life before or after. Do you feel that way too? Yeah. You've never seen before or after.
They were just angels, just God put angels to fill the room.
It felt so so supernatural to me the whole night, but it was packed. There was joy in the room, excitement. Like we were all excited about something that we didn't know was going on, kind of thing. It felt like we were all excited together, and we're just going to worship together. And it was just a different level of excitement. So we record all 8 songs. Luke Henderson mixes the record, and we start putting out singles under CHC Worship. That's our worship team's name. And a deacon in our church named Bill Holly says, "Hey, I'm selling a dog to Chris Tomlin. Do you know who that is?" And I said, "Yeah, I know who that is, man. I'm a worship leader. That's like the guy. Yeah.
The goat. Yeah.
He's written everything." So I was like, "Yeah, we sing his songs every week, probably." And so I was like, "Yeah, I know who that is." He said, "Well, I really want him to hear your music. Can you get me like a USB flash drive and like load it up?" And so I'm like, "Yeah, sure, Bill. I'll put the whole record on there." And so he goes to drop off the dog or something in Nashville and then hands him this USB drive. Now we've figured out that Tomlin has just put it in his drawer because he had nothing to really play with the old school USB. But then Bill's persistent, and he says, "All right, I'm going to text him the promise. I really feel like God's laid it on my heart. I'm going to text him the song, The Promise, with my wife's permission because she runs the dog business." And so he texts Chris and his wife. Bill said he wanted to text his wife too, just to like really double down. I think it's hilarious. He immediately says to Bill, "Who wrote the songs? What's their number? I want to encourage them. This is really great." So then Chris texts me and says, "I just want to encourage you guys. Keep doing what you're doing. This is just so awesome what you're doing at your church." You know, that kind of thing. Really just so kind encouragement. And then I'm down with the flu when I get this text, man. I'm just like laid back on my couch, feeling like death. I felt like so taken out. And so I read this. I can't process that Chris Thomas texted me, right? My brain is so foggy. And I'm like, I've got to heal up so I can write something meaningful back. This is never going to happen again. I want to text him properly. And a couple days later, he says like 2 weeks later, he says I left him on red a long time. It gets longer every time he shares it. 3 days later, I text him back and I'm like, "Man, thank you so much for all you do for the kingdom. And thank you for the encouragement. Like your music means a lot to me in my church," that kind of thing. Then he says, "Let's get on a call or something. I'm finding songs for my next record. I'm curious if y'all are interested in maybe me recording it," something like that. And of course, I'm freaking out again. And we get on a call with him and he's so kind. And we start talking more and he says, "Send me some more music. If you said you did a whole record, I'd like to hear more." We send him home. And then he sends back like home is 3 fire emojis. And we like thought that was the coolest thing from Chris Tomlin, right? You know, so we're like freaking out. And then he responds again, "I've got a bigger idea. So maybe I don't cut the song. Let's get on a call again with the president of Capital CMG if y'all are interested, and maybe we backing the whole record that y'all made and just putting it out under Capital CMG, Boyer and Bow." Well, of course, we're like, let's keep talking about that. And the conversation keeps going. And then they're like, "Well, can we fly you guys out to Nashville and you meet the whole CMG team?" At Capital CMG the next day, it's like 50 people, it feels like, in this meeting room. It feels like everyone's there and they're playing 3 of our songs and then like talking in between. They're introducing us to the label staff. And me and Jacob and our wives are just like, this is unbelievable. Like, what is happening? And then fast forward, we sign the deal. We pull all the music down from CHC Worship and do a full re-release under the name of The Heritage. And so that's where we are now. We just in March put out the whole album that we recorded back in 23. So it's been like a long time coming, these songs finally coming out. They put out the thing we set out to do for our local church, and that is just so cool, man. Mm-hmm. That's kind of where we're at now. Over a dog.
Over a dog. You never know. It's such an encouraging story. If I had to pull out a principle from that, King David, God found David in the shepherding fields, right? God knew where he was and was able to identify him, pick him, and move him from out in the sheep fields to where God wanted him to be in order for David to fulfill the purpose God had planned for him. And so I just want to encourage anybody listening with that like, you just be faithful and let God elevate you or do what he wants with you. And there are those seasons where you're just like 9 years of grinding, like Josh said earlier. And so, yeah, I'm excited. And I will link the album in the show notes. And I wanted to give you guys a chance to give any final encouragements to our viewers live or those after the fact. And then we'll move into some questions. There are some really good questions here from the Academy students. So any final encouragements from either of you?
Just keep going, keep grinding, keep pursuing the Lord. He's going to use you where you're at. I know that's simple, but it's true.
Yeah, I wrote something down, just a final encouragement, that the local church having faithful and committed worship leaders is vital for the kingdom, and your hard work is not in vain. I believe it. I'll leave it there because I could keep going.
Go ahead.
No, I was just going to say I have pastors reach out to me, and they'll ask, do I have any friends that they know that lead worship? Because apparently it's hard to find worship leaders. I'm just blowing my mind. You guys listening might have a different thing going on in your community, but I have people reaching out, asking all the time, pastors, that they just can't find any. And so it seems there's a shortage in my circles. So yeah, stay committed and faithful to your ministry. And if you feel called to that, please do it.
Yeah. And I want to reiterate what you said, because I 100% agree that there is a major shortage of qualified, godly, capable, pastorally hearted worship leaders in the world. And churches are desperate for them. And so I want to add to Josh's thought, which is you guys are very valuable and you should see your own value and what you bring to your community. Don't be prideful. Don't be boastful. Don't be puffed up about that. But like what you do is such a unique set of character qualities and skill sets that like there aren't many people who can do it well. And so you guys are very valuable. So please feel valued. So thanks for that encouragement, both of you, Josh and Chris. If you're feeling stuck, mediocre, or inadequate in your ministry, if you know there must be a better way of doing things, but you're not sure how, if you're looking for fresh inspiration and new ideas that will improve your ministry and give you a team that you're proud of leading, then I invite you to join me and over 1,400 worship leaders from all over the world who are growing inside the Worship Ministry Training Academy. In the Academy, you'll find over a dozen practical courses that will give you the confidence and skill that you need to lead with excellence. Our 20 done-for-you admin systems will save you time, streamline your ministry, and reduce the weekly stress, headaches, and chaos of leading a team. I'm talking about things like a completely done-for-you audition process and 20 other time-saving tools just as useful as that. During our weekly Monday huddles, you'll gain perspective and encouragement on the actual problems you're facing in your ministry. You'll also hear from some of your favorite worship leaders right inside the Academy. Past guests include Matt Redman, Phil Wickham, Christian Stanfield, Charity Gale, and many others. Our team devotions will help your team grow spiritually, and our musician training resources will help them improve musically. The best part is it's completely free to try for 15 days. Yes, free. And if you decide to sign up, the Academy is by far the most affordable online worship school out there. Our C3 format is proven to get you results because you get courses, coaching, and community. The courses teach you what to do, the coaches help you apply it to your specific situation, and the community helps you stay accountable and encouraged as you take the right steps to improve the ministry God has called you to. Join thousands of other worship leaders like Alicia and Jaime, who both say the Academy has completely transformed their ministry. I hope you'll start your free trial today, take the guesswork out of building a thriving worship ministry, go to worshipministrytraining.com and click that big red button, and I hope to see you this week inside the Academy.